Sometimes I get asked by citizens why the city is so concerned about what they do on their own property. Other times, I get citizens who ask me why we're not doing more to get neighbors to clean up their property. I'd like to introduce you to our code enforcement officials. This is Mickey Paul and Brad Gillespie. They take care of making sure that people take care of their yards so that we have a beautiful city. Today we're going to show you some examples of some homes in our city that don't quite meet our code, and then we're going to show you some other houses that do a very good job of making our city beautiful. So Mickey, tell us a little bit about some of the problems you encounter as a code enforcement officer.
Most of our problems are fairly seasonal. During the summer we deal a lot with complaints about people who don't take care of their yards, who don't keep their weeds mowed down, who may or may not have junk vehicles on their property. Those are the basic ones we do in the summertime. In winter, of course, we deal with snow enforcement, people who park on the street after a snowstorm and don't give the plows ample time to clean the streets, and those who don't shovel their walks. Here's an example of what we don't like to see in our city. Cars that are inoperable, that are wrecked, have mechanical problems and are left in people's yards. We try to get these people to comply by removing these vehicles or bringing them into compliance.
Here's a good example of weeds and yard waste material. Now this stuff is not only unsightly, but it also attracts rats and vermin and insects. It's just bad in a lot of ways. It's a health hazard, plus it doesn't look good, and it takes away from the value of the property and the neighborhood.
This house, obviously, you can see is abandoned. This is one of the problems throughout the county that we have, that sometimes can get tied up in legal problems for years, either with the bank or with the federal government or even the courts on cases where people have filed bankruptcy.
Here's an example of a rental property in the city. As you can see, there's car parts, there's abandoned vehicles and stuff that needs to be done here. This house obviously is out of compliance. We're one of the first cities to adopt the good landlord policy, which gives incentives to landlords to keep their properties clean and somewhat makes them responsible for these non-compliance issues. This house obviously has some concerns, and we're working hard to bring this one into compliance so that it makes this neighborhood beautiful. We want all our city neighborhoods to look beautiful. Now here's an example of a yard that's taken care of beautifully. You see the finely manicured lawn, the plants. The issue of code enforcement really comes down to the city has to have a balance between people keeping their property up and then personal property rights. We respect and honor personal property rights, but if a person doesn't take care of their property, it brings down their property value, but it also brings down the property values of their neighbors and the whole neighborhood and then the whole city. So if you have any questions or concerns about code enforcement in Taylorsville, please feel free to call the city at 801-963-5400. Mickey and Brad are happy to help you if you have neighbors that are having problems with code enforcement, or if you've got a letter from the city and you have some questions about how you can improve your house to bring it into compliance.